What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast. We're here for a Tuesday tune-up, and I have my brother here today. Mr. Scott Tolar is an operating partner and MAPS leadership coach with Keller Williams Realty. He is passionate about helping others unlock the potential they have in themselves that they do not yet see. Brother, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, JM.
So, Keller Williams, tell me, man, how did you find it? Because it's such a unique company. I am blessed to have really found it, but you've been doing it for a while, and it has provided some pretty cool opportunities for you, for your family. Tell me your journey into it, and then we'll really get into why it's such a cool company.
Yeah, so I don't even know if I've shared with you my journey of getting into it. It's actually, I kind of found it accidentally.
Okay.
Well, I say accidentally. I grew up in Southern California, okay? And the joke that I'd always heard in Southern California was there are more people with a real estate license than a driver's license. And so my parents had always said, why don't you go get a real job where you get a real paycheck? And I let that kind of be my limiting belief that I lived my life by at that point in time. And I decided that I wasn't going to do that anymore when my wife and I decided we were going to move to Texas. And so I went full time into the car industry as soon as I got to Texas for what I consider the longest year and a half of my life. Because if you're not familiar with that, they make you work like open to close. Thank God in Texas, car dealerships are only allowed to be open 6 days a week. So I got one day off. But I was working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As long as that place was open, I was there. I did it, though, with the intention of ultimately going into real estate because I knew that I could build a database, and I knew that was something that I was going to need in order to be successful in real estate because I was kind of a nerd in high school and read books about real estate, read books about being an entrepreneur, business owner, stuff like that. And so I started researching different companies, and it turned out that my cousin, who lived in Gig Harbor, Washington at that point in time, was actually an owner of this place called Keller Williams. And in Southern California, I had never heard of Keller Williams at that point in time. But when I moved to the Austin, Texas area, you saw their signs all over the place because their headquarters is right there in Austin. And so I talked to him and decided that's what I was going to do. And unlike many people who go and interview a bunch of brokerages, I didn't interview any other one. I figured if he's with them, this is where I should be. And then I started to do some research on it, and I realized, okay, this is definitely where I need to be because it's so growth-minded, not just in the real estate side of it, but in who you become. And so I went into the local market center in Round Rock, Texas, and I said, I want to bring my license here. I didn't even interview with them. I just said, I want to bring my license here. And I was so blessed to have chosen a market center with a lady named Avis Lukash. And Avis is one of my business partners in Texas now, and she was the team leader of this market center that I joined. She happened to also be the head of the Texas Real Estate Commission, for the whole state of Texas.
Wow.
So if I could have walked into the one place and had no idea where I was walking into, I chose the right one. It was like winning the lottery. And I started with my foot to the pedal, and I went all in. When my wife and I had moved to Texas right before that, I'd lost my job in Southern California in the entertainment industry for Walt Disney because things were tough at that point in time. The economy had changed. And when we moved to Texas, I had $200. And so I started in the car industry, moved that into real estate, sold real estate for about a year and a half. And then Avis came up to me one day while I was lead generating in the hallway. And she said, I want to talk to you about something. You've been doing a really good job, and I think you should be rewarded. And I said, what, are you going to send me on vacation? She was like, not quite. And so she said, I'd like to talk to you about an opportunity for this team leader position in a market center that we're launching in Georgetown, Texas. Well, her and I went through about a 6-week process, kind of like what you and I did. And we ultimately decided that it'd be a good partnership. So I launched that office there in Georgetown, Texas. First year, we closed $95 million in real estate with about 20. We started with 28 people. By the time I finished my tenure there, 5 years later, we had 250 agents and we had closed about $780 million in volume
Wow.
just in that 1 year. And by the way, Georgetown, Texas is known for having the largest retirement community on the western side of the Mississippi. So we weren't like, at that point in time, we weren't a booming town or anything like that. We became a booming town, one of the fastest growing cities in America. But we also, the thing that I'm most proud about is we became one of the top 10 brokerages for volume in the entire Austin MLS, which was a pretty big feat.
Well, I didn't know that story. I didn't know you had car industry experience at all. You're fascinating. You always hold on to these stories. He's got an amazing gambling story. If we have time, I'm going to get to it. Talk to me about the growth-minded part of it, because it is one thing that, my neighbor, someone we both know pretty well, John Clyde, he's the one that introduced me to Keller Williams. No idea other than a couple real estate agents had purchased and sold homes for us from Keller Williams. It is remarkable, this growth-minded culture. I've never seen a company, and I'm not talking real estate, I am talking company that has such a commitment to personal development, to self-development, self-growth. It's remarkable, and it's really hard to explain if you didn't have a chance to experience it. So you've been around longer than I have, quite a bit at Keller Williams, in terms of being at that company. Where is that from, Gary, or where does that come from?
Well, it actually comes from somebody well before Gary. An ancient philosopher said, "I cannot teach anyone anything. I can only make them think." Blanking on exactly which philosopher it is right now, but Gary came along a few years later and said pretty much the same thing. I can't teach anyone anything. I can only challenge them to think differently. And that, to me, is where the growth mindset really comes in. I've heard it said by many different people that if you're not growing, you're dying. And unfortunately, JM, we live in a society where there's so many people that believe once you've finished your high school education or your college education, your growth is done. And that's how we end up in so many of the messes we're in today, because you've really only started growing. And the average shelf life of a college degree is like 5 years. So if you're not continuing to grow after that, you've become stale. And we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our families, if we have families, to continue to wake up and be a better version of ourselves every single day. And the only way we can do that is by choosing to grow. And so personal growth is one of those things that's been important to me really since my dad passed away back in 2012. Because at that point in time, my little brothers were 11, 13, and 15. And now all of a sudden I found myself in a position where my dad had passed away and they needed somebody to show them how to do all of this. And I knew the only way that I could do that was by growing and continuously growing. And I wanted to show them that anything that they wanted to accomplish, they could. And the only way that I could do that was by being really intentional with my growth. And so I went on a personal growth journey to ultimately, it led me into real estate and being really good at that. And then when Avis came to me with that opportunity, I originally said, I'm not quite sure if I'm interested. And then she said something, and these words will forever have changed my life, because she asked me why I got into real estate. And I said, well, I really got into real estate because I enjoy helping people. And I had just told her that I don't know if I was interested in the team leader position. And the words that she said that changed my life were, what if I could show you how to help the people who are helping the people?
Pretty powerful.
And all of a sudden, the reach that I would be able to have and the impact I would be able to have multiplied because now I became a teacher to those people and part of their journey to success.
Yeah. So one of the things that's hard to explain when you hear real estate, you think of there's an agent, there's a home, there's a transaction, one's a sale, one's a purchase, and that's about it. We don't have time for today, but I'm just going to say opportunity and Keller Williams, and I'm going to let you go because I'm hoping you can do it in a more succinct, concise manner than I can.
Yeah.
The tree of opportunity is remarkable and it just continues to grow. So it's all walks of life are really welcome in this company.
Yeah.
So much so that Gary, at one point, I saw a video where he said, we are not a real estate company, we're a technology company.
Correct.
That happens to sell real estate. And it's just fascinating the way his mind, and not just his, but the executive team's mind and all of the leaders' minds of opportunity. So I said already I was going to just say opportunity and let you go, but it is remarkable. It's really hard for me to even explain it because I don't fully understand or grasp it all.
Yeah, well, quite frankly, there's still parts of it that I'm learning to grasp and understand because we are an evolving company and we're constantly changing the way that we do things. We keep our foundational models the same, we keep our foundational beliefs the same, but you have to adapt to the market of the moment that you're in, and that will require you as a business person and as an individual to change the way that you do things continuously, because if you don't, guess what, your competitors are going to do it and you are gone.
Yep.
So when it comes to opportunity, number one, the first opportunity is getting in and selling real estate if you choose to do that. And here's one of the major misconceptions about real estate and any business that you're ever in. The product has nothing to do with what you do. The people have everything to do with it. So while we say we're in the real estate business, we're in the relationship business. Same thing with any business out there. And then from that, there's opportunities to be part of our associate leadership council, which is what makes us really different, is because when we want to change things in our companies, we as owners of the company, we do it through our people. They have to give us permission to make changes, which is what really allows them to hold us accountable. In many other companies out there, if they want to make a change and all of a sudden charge you a whole lot more money overnight, guess what? Congratulations. Now your split's this instead of that. So there's a hierarchy of ways that things are done, and it's all done here in Keller Williams through our agents. And then there's opportunities to become a coach inside of Keller Williams. If you want to start your own coaching company, you could. If you wanted to start your own lead generation company, you could. And then becoming a market center owner, becoming a regional owner, becoming a president of KW. The thing that I love about our president right now is he literally started as an agent with our company and he worked all the way through so many different positions to the point where he today is leading the company as the president. So we're a vessel that can take you wherever you want to go. I think back to Walt Disney. I mean, there was a group of people that called that guy crazy when he stood in the middle of the orange groves in Anaheim, California and said, I'm going to build a theme park. Well, guess what? Chapter 4 in the book that we have called Franchise Systems Orientation, it's a class that we have at Keller Williams. Chapter 4 is literally called Build Your Disney, because you can make anything you want to happen within this company. You just design it and then start working toward it.
Yeah, and I think that's the abundance mindset that I hope everyone can hear. I've heard Gary's story a little bit now where it's like, okay, 40 years in the industry, or at least 40 years as Keller Williams, I should say.
40 years as Keller Williams.
Thank
correct.
you. And it's the largest real estate company in the world. And it literally started, I don't know if it was out of a garage, but it was certainly that one-man operation, right? That success story.
He started calling himself Keller Williams International when they had 3 people.
Wow. And that's just kind of who he is. Now, here's what's remarkable. He is, again, I've never personally met him. I know you have many times.
Yeah.
He comes across as one of the most humble, one of the most servant leaders I've ever seen. And he's done extreme. He's a billionaire. I mean, he's got 60 some odd companies I understand he's a part of. And yet I watched him lead for 4 days, moderate, and I don't remember him really talking about him ever. It's really unique. And the other person I would be remiss if I didn't mention was Mo, because she really helped this company thrive and accelerate. And it's just one of those, I want people to understand how cool this company is, whether you choose to ever look at being in real estate and joining Keller Williams, if that's something you want to do, or if you're looking at buying or selling a home. I want people to understand it's just one of those really phenomenal companies that every company should study, because the culture is unlike any I've ever experienced.
Well, here's what I believe makes us so different. Is when somebody is thinking about getting into business, when somebody's thinking about going into real estate, we sit down and have an actual consultative conversation with them about them and their goals. Unfortunately, so many other companies out there will sit you down and say, here's why we're so good. Here's what we do. Well, what we do doesn't matter. What matters is what you want to accomplish. And look, I believe we have the models, tools, systems, and resources for anybody to accomplish anything they ever wanted to inside of our company. Yet, if I just told you, let's say that I had 1,000 different things that our company does, and I told you about 999 of them, but I missed the one that was the most important to you, that connected you to your goals and your vision, it doesn't work. But if I sit down and actually get to know about you and what you want to accomplish and what you want to do and why this is important to you, and find out who you really are, then I can connect you to the 1 or 2 things that we have that allow you to do everything you wanted to. The other 998 don't matter.
Yeah, no, it is pretty amazing. The other thing that Keller does so differently is, maybe it's not different, but it's certainly something I haven't experienced a lot, is the assessments. Both the Keller, the KPA, the DISC. Now we're looking at, incorporating some of Lencioni's, or at least in our area. So why is that? Again, understanding the human first, so to put them in a position to win, because
absolutely.
Is it that it's just that simple?
It's that simple. It's the better you understand yourself. It's not so much us understanding you, it's you understanding yourself. If we can help you to understand who you are, you'll then understand how you interact with people who are not like you even better. And when you can do that, it actually takes your whole sales ability to a whole new level that unfortunately many entrepreneurs don't ever unlock, because one of the unfortunate things about so many entrepreneurs is they only get really good at people who are just like them, instead of figuring out how to build bridges to connect with people who are not like them. And that's what we want to help people to do. It used to be said in this industry, the only way that you would make it is if you were extremely direct. Well, we've proven that is completely false, because what we do is we help people to figure out how to connect with people who are not like them. And technology's come a long way with that as well, and helping people to lead generate and connect in different ways. Social media has been a major piece of that. But the reason we do it is because if you don't understand yourself, how are you ever going to understand others?
Well, the other thing that I have to mention, because the most recent hurricane, maybe it's not the most recent, but the one that was most impactful in Fort Myers, and talk about KW Cares, because again, it's one of these things, it's more than just a give back, it's a way of life. It is a fabric of the culture of this entire company and this community. So what is KW Cares, and talk about what it's done for Naples, Fort Myers area, the impact that it had. And I know that's just what I've seen recently. I know it's probably been doing this for years, but it's really pretty amazing.
So KW Cares was actually formed out of what happened in Katrina in Louisiana. There were a lot of our agents who were just completely devastated, lost their homes, lost almost everything when those levees in New Orleans broke.
Yeah.
And so that was when Mo Anderson was the president of our company. And she said, we've got to do something. And that's when they went and formed KW Cares. And KW Cares allows agents to help other agents by giving back a portion of their commission at closing. We also do fundraisers with inside of the company to support our own people. We've had agents here in our office here in Fort Lauderdale who have been beneficiaries of KW Cares. And it's really there so that when life happens and you have to step away from your business to take care of life, you have something that you know is going to be able to be there to support you. We've helped so many people through their cancer treatments, through car accidents, through you name all kinds of different circumstances. They've taken care of it. Another instance of this was not actually KW Cares. It's what we have at KW. It was called the Family Fund. It's still in existence, but not to the way that it was before. And there was a real estate company that I will not name in Iowa. And they saw KW as a major threat to their existence. And so they decided that they were not going to pay Keller Williams agents commissions if they sold their properties. And so the loophole in this was in the MLS. They just had to offer some compensation. They didn't have to offer anything specific. So this company offered all Keller Williams agents $1 to sell if they were going to sell the property. Well, at Keller Williams, we believe in a win-win or no deal. And it would have been unfair for our agents to just choose not to show those properties. So they went all in and they showed more of those properties than they ever could have. And what happened was that family fund ended up making all of those agents whole on their commissions because our agents came together and donated money to every single one of those people through the family fund so that they were able to make themselves whole and be able to provide for their families. And by the way, guess who the number one real estate company is in Iowa now?
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah, and this is just scratching the surface on story after story after story of truly, it's one of those when you watch those videos where you're like, humanity still exists. That is this company. And I'm not saying that like there's no agenda here other than I want to share the story. And it's just so unique. And here's the other thing. I want to give you the chance. We're running up on time already. I can't believe it. Just open forum, brother. Anything I didn't ask you that you're like, man, I want to share this with your audience. They need to know this about Scott Tolar, about Keller Williams, about real estate, anything. I know leadership is a huge part in John Maxwell, and that's a big part of your life, but anything that's just on your heart that you want to share with the audience.
Here's the number one thing. I don't like to leave any conversation without mentioning this, but anything you've ever wanted to accomplish in your life is outside of your comfort zone. You're not going to achieve the greatness that you could have if you choose to stay comfortable. And the potential is already inside of you. Sometimes you just have to look a little bit deeper. Sometimes you need to surround yourself with other people who are going to challenge you. Sometimes you need somebody to take a stand for you when you're not willing to take a stand for yourself. That's why having a coach or having a mentor is so important. Yet, if you choose to stay comfortable, you will never achieve the greatness that you could have. That's the number one thing.
Powerful, brother. It's powerful. I know you have your own website, and I know you have you're pretty active, and you have a new show that you put out, at least I think for Keller Williams. But
it's for anyone.
Oh, is it for anyone? That's awesome.
It's for entrepreneurs.
So, brother, where can people find you, connect with you online if they're like, wow, Keller Williams sounds pretty awesome? Where can they connect with you online?
Yeah, they can go to scotttolar.com, SCOTTTOLAR.com. And I've got all kinds of leadership resources on there. If you want to take a DISC assessment, I know Tony Robbins has one. His is free online. Mine is free too, but mine is way more in depth because it tells you how you interact with people who are not like you, like we talked about earlier. Feel free to hop on there and take that anytime. I believe it's scotttolar.com/DISC for that one. And then if you're interested in joining our Entree Growth community, Entree meaning entrepreneur and growth, because if you're not growing, you're dying. We have a call every single morning at 9:00 where we're just sharing value for business people who are looking to grow their businesses. And over the next 12 to 18 months, we've got to band together because our economy is in a really interesting spot. And if they haven't said the words officially recession yet, mark my words, you'll hear it. And this is where together everyone truly does achieve more.
Well, brother, I'm glad you started that call. I appreciate who you are as a leader, how you show up.
Appreciate you too, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But thank you for coming on. I grabbed Scott and I was like, man, I need you on the show. He brings so much love and warmth and leadership. I want people to know who he is. I want people to know who Keller Williams is. It's such a unique story. So thank you, brother.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah.
See you later.
Hey, guys, please share this. This is an amazing story. It's an amazing company. Whether you, like I said, if you want to join, lots of opportunity. If you don't, that's fine. It's just a really cool American story of a business that has just grown, it thrives, and it's helping so many. So remember, until next time, your mindset matters. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.